I would like to honor those who turned up at this early moment, and I would like to welcome you all to the presentation on the SOLWorld conference theme this year. It's called Signs of Progress. It was actually an executive decision that it sounds like this. I just wanted it and I just said it. And the team was very generous to accept it, and they didn't even argue about it. So it's my pleasure that we have now a conference called Signs of Progress. In the morning today, I found this Evan George quote on hope. And this is why I make this presentation. Because I think to work with signs of progress is highly hope-generating. I would like to guide you through some ideas and aspects of signs of progress, and I hope that after this half an hour you can leave and have ideas how you can guide your clients, how you can orient so they have more hope for the change they are working on. I would like to start with a personal story. I came across Solution Focus something 13 years, and I was excited. And quite soon I started also introduce Solution Focus to others. And it was many years later then that I recognized the little difference in what we are doing. I was a big fan of small steps. At the end of a conversation, I was really working hard with my clients so they see the little steps they are about to do next time. And then suddenly, there was a difference. So the big difference in teaching occurred unexpectedly and unnoticed. I can't tell you when it happened, but at a certain moment, I recognized myself in courses for solution-focused approach that I'm talking about. Oh, and towards the end of a conversation, it might be useful to ask people about how they will recognize that they are moving forward. And some years later, after I was teaching that, I recognized how different it is. And all Hungarians who learned with me Solution Focus know my dance on it. I decided to dance you yesterday. I was inspired with the others. What a difference it makes to ask someone, what do you want to do as next little step to be able to move forward? It's a totally different question than ask him, oh, so this is what you want, and all these things you are already doing. How will you, it's totally clear you will proceed. How will you notice that you came more forward? So this little dance shows to me the total big easiness about moving forward towards what I want just by moving forward towards what I want, and then it would be totally stupid not to recognize, and I'm closer to what I want. This is, to me, it's my story on signs of progress, what a difference it makes. The easiness of anyhow moving and then noticing, or deciding, and from here I have to do that. So to me, signs of progress, asking about expected signs of progress is an element of how we work. So I propose today this as an element of solution-focused work. And I told you, it's in my eyes that it's something important. On those cards we use for students, earlier there was written small steps. And at a certain moment I was watching them and said, small steps, and then I have to explain them. It's not about steps, it's about progress and noticing it, so somehow I have to change. And now on Hungarian cards, it's written signs of progress. But it's my story with it. And if I guide you today in this presentation through signs of progress, I would like to show you another perspective. At a certain moment, colleagues who wrote important books on working solution-focused reprinted their books. Within a year, there were 2 new books on from John Hendon, the guy with the candle. You remember yesterday Mark's story. 10 years later, he did a different take on his own topic, and he gave a second edition of working solution-focused with suicide prevention. And Keith Burns, same year, after, again, 10 years, rewrote her concept. And one of my favorite colleagues, Daniel Meyer, with his solution circle working in teams, 10 years later, just exactly 10 years later, reduced the 8 something of solution circle, and now we are teaching 4 something to work with teams in a solution-focused way. 4 elements instead of 8. There is something happening within solution-focused approach. To create a history from it, I needed a PhD decision. I started to try to make it in an academic way, these observations. And from swimming wonderfully in beautiful solution-focused waters, suddenly I had to watch what we are doing from a different perspective. And there were ideas of progress. There was ideas about changes within the approach itself, within how we observe our own work. May I ask you, Annie, can you put the file one up, down on the... Because I think I'm not the only one who observes solution-focused approach. And there is a beautiful and quite intense discussion on it. Tomorrow, you will have Mark McGregor's workshop on solution-focused approach, I think, 2.0. So there is a huge discussion, a lovely discussion on how we see our approach changing or not. And I would like you to be part of these observations. What do we detect as a change? And between change and progress, I guess it's a question of the direction. Yeah? Even if there are changes how I teach solution focus this way or this way, it will be only progress in my teaching if I have an intention. And my intention is generate hope in solution-focused conversations. And what is our intention with this approach? So how can we decide, is it a change in our eyes? Or is it a progress? This is the first point in this presentation where I would like to give the tune to you. And the question is very simple. What resonates with you from what you heard so far? In 3 minutes, I will call you back, your attention. Find someone who you like to talk to. What resonates so far from this with you? I hope it turns out somehow to be useful for you to spend this time on this topic. And one type of observer, if I say progress occurs in the observer's eye, one type of observation is it to write about what we are doing. Where is he? Can't tell his name correctly. So I had a chat yesterday, and someone told to me science or academic writing is also a language game. So trying to put what we are doing in this language is also creating a possibility to observe what's happening and to observe also the progress of our approach. And this is what I admire in Mark McCurgo's trial, to put solutions focus in a progress, in a change, in a progress language, in an independent language from what's happening just right now. And I think the big thing he allows us with his article or his concept on solution focus 2.0, you hear my German, is that he allows us a different observation than ours and invites us to our own observations and to our own exchange on what we observe. So please do it and observe and change and talk about the progress of your own practice. This is a very clear focus what we have in this conference and in SOLWorld, and this is solution focused work in organizations. So I would like to try to say something about signs of progress in the work with organizations. Yeah, can you somehow put it down? Thank you. He can't read my mind. Oh. And if I say you can talk about progress if you have a direction, to me the direction for solution-focused work in organization is desired that it's available as a real alternative to other approaches, that people who decide about change processes, about how they lead, about how they want the everyday life of their company, that they have the chance to choose solution focus as a way of working. So to me, all signs that solution focus is available as a choice in companies, in organizations, in communities, all signs that shows it is available, to me it's a progress. And I'm keen on collecting signs for this progress with you together. How can we support our clients in choosing a hope-giving, an easier going, a future desired way of working, the solution-focused way of working? I think it's also an element and a type of a progress if we recognize that solution-focused work is trustworthy for organizations. Not just available, not just that they have the choice, but they see the difference, that they see the chance to work in this way. So that's why I would like to say a huge thank you to all of you who are working on documenting your work in organizations. This is how you work on making this approach trustworthy for organizations. If they have the cases, if they have the examples, if they have the short and juicy presentations or messages on this work. So please do it, and please use it, what we already have. And I would like to make a link to the Solution Focused in Organization SFIO website, and also to their sponsoring our conference with video recordings of the cases we have here. So people not attending the conference can easily watch how Roxana and Petra works at Microsoft in Romania, how, I just have to watch the faces, how, I'm blank, how Jesper works with a little company to make their business more forward-moving, what happens when Fritzi takes his hat of a leader and changes it to a hat of a team coach. So all these cases and examples, to make them available is a sign of progress for me for this approach, because it generates and creates the trustworthiness of our work. By the way, there is also a book collection of cases. It's a red book, and someone took it yesterday. Please put it back on the table. And to me, it's also important to see how our work is compatible with organizations, with the life in organizations. And maybe it's a question of language. Maybe it's also a question of metaphors we use. And do we call it solution-focused work? Or do we call it business lunch, which offers people to have conversations in their life, but in a different language? Business lunch was a quotation of a collection of formats for solution-focused work in organizations without teaching them solution-focused. It's not the task, please learn solution-focused work. It's much more the invitation to have certain types of conversations, and we can trust on our approach. It's so easy and light-going that they anyhow will copy it, starting with the next coffee break already. I would like to make another little time frame for you to turn to your neighbor, and I suggest conversations between twos, because otherwise you won't have enough time. And who starts first? Tells the first story on a case, something where you recognize it's trustworthy to work that way. What would be your reference story or favorite story to tell how solution-focused work can work in an organizational setting? There are many places in the world where colleagues, there are many places in the world where colleagues are working on using our language in a compatible way and generating easy, light, and efficient change in organizations and good conditions for humans in there. And yes, please show your work and share your work. And I'm so proud to be a solution surfer today. Daniel put quite a piece of work to share a trial to show metaphors which might work in organizations, to show formats, how we can easily invite people not trained in solution focus just to use a different language. There is a personal present for you, and it can't be taken back, as I see. You can listen to me when, yes!
Thank you so much. That's amazing.
Okay. And here the last bit comes from this. If it were talking about signs of progress, then I would like to talk about those signs which show me that solution focus makes a difference in the world. Not just in organizations, but on bigger scales. And I think of Swedish projects when governmental places cooperate with each other in a different paradigm than just arranging things. I'm talking about Jonas Wels's work and his colleagues who are taking care of this cooperation, started from a desired future and building on all signs which they notice that they are trustworthy for create forward-moving forces. When I'm saying solution focus can make a difference in the world, then I also mean Irene's work together with Therese Steiner in other cultures, bringing solution-focused conversations and, yes, generating hope for young people. You can find there her book on the book table. If I'm talking about making a difference in the world, then I mean also Irma's work. When there is a last village on the map of Hungary where government takes support away, and she goes there and she supports the teacher in a way, then within some days they organize themselves to keep on doing the good work. And we couldn't work on that case much longer because they didn't need it any longer, an external person to help them. But this easy start and the light change generates also bigger hope at people who don't have to stick too long with you as a helper. They can just go on and do their own version of their own world. If I'm talking about signs of progress, I also mean maybe what you do. No, I have to tell two more. I also mean the Solution Cafe. Petra started together with Jan, her colleague in Romania. And many of you already have seen in your language or in English the cards where we can invite just people in a cafe in easy format, and they start to talk to each other about their stories in a different way. I did it in Germany with teachers, and in the following module, one of the participants told me, you know what, I just went home and I talked with my husband about his seeking a job since many years and not finding anything, and now he goes to the first interview. What a change. It was just a Solution Cafe to show them Petra's format. Or the other I can't not tell is when an RV with a strange Swiss number with even that strange drawings on it drives through a country. And you can have coffee and free coffee and conversations. And you can join Elfie and Dominic for their everyday life and get some inspiring and strange and provoking questions. Thought-provoking questions. So maybe I mean exactly what you do. Not because you pay for a charity project, maybe you do that too, and that's good too. But when you do exactly this work where you are good at with others, when you invite someone into your course just because the person couldn't offer that, or when you talk to someone and afterwards they are having a lighter heart. I would like to see this approach to change the world. And I see signs of that progress. And thank you so much that you followed me, and you looked like you would. You followed me on this panorama view on signs of progress within our approach, within our own work, within the work in organizations, and making the world a better place. Thank you so much.